This is the Frat House Sports Show, live on Blog Talk Radio. Got an opinion on what the guys are talking about tonight? Call in to weigh in live on the air. 347-826-9964. That's 347-826-9964. And now, for this week's completely different and often humorous take on all things sports, live from the Frat House, here are Frat House Mike, Uncle Mark, and Sidekick.
Wow! How about that? Yes, indeedy. Yes, you have found the Frat House. This is Frat House Mike coming to you this evening on our very first program here on Blog Talk Radio. And it being our first, I'm going to ask you to deal with our warts here for a couple of moments. Do I have Sidekick with me? Sidekick?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Trying to untangle my cord. So I figured out how to get in.
I see we've got you here, and we're waiting on Uncle Mark, and we're waiting on Brandon. I think we should have Brandon here momentarily as well.
Yes, you do.
Our production director. Yes, we do. And
yes, you do.
I'm hoping that perhaps maybe we get Uncle Mark in there. Maybe somebody could send a message over to Uncle Mark via the chat and let him know perhaps how you guys got in there to work this one out. As I pointed out, perhaps maybe
use the bat phone.
Yeah, really, exactly. Just bear with us, folks. This is brand new. For those of you that might be listening in for the very first time, Frat House Sports is not, we're not novices. Oh, no, not at all. Are we, Sidekick? 3 years we've been doing sports talk, but we've been doing it over on YouTube. And so with this being our third anniversary, we thought what we would do is bring it a little bit differently. Bring you guys in, let you, the listeners, have a chance to actually hear us do this thing live and give you the opportunity to actually interact with us directly, give us your thoughts on many of the most timely sports topics that we're going to be bringing up as we always do and have been doing for 3 years. Let me throw the phone number out there for you to jump in with us at any time during the course of this and let you get your feelings expressed on anything that we want to bring in. 347-826-9964, the number to reach us here. If there's something we bring up you want to get in and give us a comment with, 347-826-9964. Alrighty. Now, we're waiting yet to see whether we can get Uncle Mark in here. I guess before we get into everything that we want to actually get into for this evening. So, again, bear with us here for a couple of seconds as we try to get used to everything that we're doing here this evening right here at Blog Talk Radio. We've got ourselves 2 hours to discuss if we need to. We're not necessarily planning on going 2 hours, but if we need to, we've got 2 hours that we can use to get through the topics that we've got on our docket for this evening. 3 years, Sidekick. Hard to believe, though. Here we sit doing one like this. It's been a long time coming. I saw this afternoon you put up, it was really kind of neat, you put up over on Facebook, you put up the Throwback Thursday version, Frat House Sports #1, going all the way back to 2011. Wow.
Yeah, that episode was just a little bit scary. When you look at our third anniversary show from last week, and you look at the very first production, I mean, the leaps and bounds that we went through, the fact that I don't have to drink Jägermeister before the show to get ready to come on set, because a lot of people may not know that haven't come and hung out at the Frat House and stuff like that I actually do not do well public speaking and out in the public. So those first few episodes I had to get, I had to go a little bit of a buzz going to get over the nerves of, getting in front of a camera. So, but now it's like, I just, I walk in, have my page of notes, and hey, ready to go.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and let me ask you though, because obviously, I mean, I'm background in communications and what have you for going back decades and decades, and being a teacher for as many years as I was, to the public doesn't bother me. But do you find that this media that we're working in now more comfortable than what we were doing before?
The radio, doing kind of like this radio podcast stuff, but you and I had done this kind of in the past. You had done the talk radio, and I would sub in occasionally, usually like holidays and stuff. And it's fun to do this kind of format. I don't have to worry about how do I look, or I can sit here on the internet and I can look up stats and do stuff multitask while we're doing the show and stuff. So that's a neat aspect. But I do kind of miss the aspect of being in front of the camera and, cracking jokes back and forth, and you and I just, having that back and forth dialogue and stuff, and,
right.
And gauging, what the other person's doing,
right.
And kind of read off of, body language and stuff.
Oh, I agree. And I think that's one of the things that it's going to probably, we're going to have to work on that chemistry as we go through this process. One of the things I was thinking about as I was putting together notes and outlines for this evening's program, it's a lot easier when I'm sitting directly there across from you and I can see your facial expression. I can see when you disagree with me. I can see, just by something perhaps maybe I've said where you're in agreement, you're nodding, or you're like, oh man, I can't wait to rip into him. It's going to take a little bit of an adjustment here for us to get to the point of recognizing, that sort of thing when you can't actually see the person that you're sitting next to. So,
absolutely. Or if, like I'm dying to say something,
right.
like, I can't wait for him to stop talking. I can, that kind of thing, where, we won't have that ability now. We're kind of, we'll have to work on that a little bit, cutting in.
Yeah, I kind of anticipate there'll be a little bit more of people kind of talking over each other too, because again, that was one of those visual sorts of things you could see when somebody was coming near the end of perhaps their discussion or their argument, and now we're going to have to kind of feel that one out. So, for those of you listening in, excuse me, as I said, bear with our warts here as we try to get acclimated.
I think we have Uncle Mark in. It looks.
Yeah,
like.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I want to bring Uncle Mark in here. Uncle Mark, we got you in here finally.
Yeah, I believe I'm in here. Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yep, you sound great. You sound great.
Yeah, all right.
So we
good.
got the.
Everybody sounds good.
Are you jackwagon?
There you go. We got our program director in with us as well, Brandon. So we got Uncle Mark there. We got sidekick there, Frat House Mike here, and Brandon is the program director, and he'll be jumping in on occasion. The Uncle Mark, we were just talking, just to kind of fill some time there as we were trying to work out the bugs here, just filling in a little bit on where we've come from, because obviously we're kind of hoping that we're reaching a brand new audience here this evening. Where we've come from, and I was mentioning 3 years we've had the YouTube channel going. And for those of you that have not seen, Sidekick and I were just bringing up Frat House Sports, or I guess it was 5 Minutes at the Frat House was the original name of the program. 5 Minutes at the Frat House, #1. Sidekick had posted up on his Facebook page today, which was a little bit of Throwback Thursday. But we've had a channel that has well over 250 videos, all homemade videos of it over on YouTube. And if you go to YouTube and you search the Frat House Sports channel, you will find that channel, and you could go in and take a look at some of the previous productions that we've done over the years. And you can see as as Sidekick just pointed out, the progression that we have watched through the years. So it's been a long time coming to this one. Well, I know, Uncle Mark, you're excited about what we're launching here this evening. I was asking Sidekick, is he more comfortable with this environment or with the previous video environment? How about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be fine this way. I think it works so much better. See, I have a good face for radio.
Some would say the same about myself, trust me.
Yeah, so I really, I'm looking forward to a real stout year as we kick things off here.
Oh, no!
Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Third year of the anniversary here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
We all know who the good-looking one on the set is.
And who's that?
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, I was just mentioning about Sidecat being disappointed that he wasn't on the show this evening.
Yeah, Spike couldn't
My seat warmer.
Skype. He can't Skype.
Thought perhaps maybe you were referencing Sidecat. All right. Let me throw the number out one. I'm going to be throwing it out a couple of times this evening, and then we'll jump into our.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to jump into our big stories. 347-826-9964. That's how you get in. We want you to do that. That's why we made this move from YouTube over to Blog Talk Radio, so that we can take your calls and hear what's on your mind. So 347-826-9964. Give us a holler, and we'll get you on the air. And let's get to our big story for this week. And, I hate to be somebody that's just going to jump on the bandwagon, but I guess we have to talk what everybody else is talking, and that is the situation with Ray Rice, the NFL, and Roger Goodell. On Monday, it was released, additional footage actually came out of the situation between Ray Rice and his now wife, Jana. The situation that occurred back in February at Revelle Casino down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We had only seen the video of the elevator doors opening and a collapsed Jana on the ground and Ray Rice pulling her out of the elevator. That's all we had seen. That is up until Monday. On Monday, we got actual video footage of what occurred inside the elevator. And what we saw there was brutal. It was brutal enough to make you want to turn your head and look the other way. As Ray Rice clocked her so violently, she went down in a heap in the elevator. It was quite powerful. I mean, it looked like something, I'm going to be perfectly blunt, that I've seen middle and heavyweight boxers do in the ring. That prompted almost immediately the Baltimore Ravens to release Ray Rice, and within about an hour and a half to 2 hours thereafter, the NFL via Roger Goodell had indicated that Ray Rice had been indefinitely suspended from the NFL. In the days that have passed since then, we have now had speculation upon speculation upon speculation as to whether the NFL had ever seen that particular videotape that we all had a chance to see thanks to TMZ on Monday. And if they had, why in fact the initial punishment was a mere 2-game suspension. Roger Goodell has consistently indicated, and even so doing again the other evening on a national interview on CBS News, indicated that no one at the NFL, including himself, has ever seen this videotape, this footage. It was then reported yesterday, however, via a report from an Associated Press reporter, that in fact there was evidence to the effect that the tape had been handed over, or at least sent over, to the NFL offices, and that it was confirmed received at the NFL with a comment indicating, from the person that received it, indicating, wow, you're right, that's really bad. This has continued to spin out of control. And I'm going to open it up with a couple of questions. And as we go through this whole process, I'm probably going to make a couple of observations as well as we go through this. But I heard somebody make the comment today, Psychic, that what are we making such a big deal about? This is a situation that is not about Roger Goodell. It is about Ray Rice. And so why are we making such a big deal about Roger Goodell? I found that comment, or at least that observation, somewhat interesting, and I'm not sure I completely agree with it. I concur that I think that this situation has gone from being Ray Rice and what he did to being one of Roger Goodell and ethics. Your thinking on this whole situation, Psychic?
Well, to be honest, I think this is another example of the media busted in, or
Sorry
the media.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Another example of the media getting involved and taking things out of proportion and almost being the watch, the neighborhood watch on everything. And I find it, for instance, TMZ, released that clip, and the clip was edited down to just basically, his fiance or girlfriend at the time coming forward, and then him punching her out. And then the next day we hear the AP got to see the actual whole video, not so grainy, and there was more to the video. But I think TMZ tilted it in a way to make it sensational. And that's the thing that gets me about the media is how we saw almost a similar witch hunt mentality with Tony Stewart after what happened on that Sprint Cup track. So I don't think Goodell's going to come out of this clean. I don't think anybody's going to come out of this clean. And I think there's going to be a lot of collateral damage just due to the media butting their noses in it.
Okay, but wait a minute. You're saying butting their noses into it, but
slanting, I guess.
Have they slanted it? How have they slanted it?
Well, like I was saying, they're showing things they're trying to make it sensational in typical media style. I'm not taking anything away from the incident or anything like that, but I think the media is feeding into it.
Uncle Mark, any thoughts?
Well, here's where I go with it. Roger Goodell had a obvious vortex in his judgment, and he was a bit off kilter with the Ray Rice episode. I believe, in fact, that it's poppycock to believe that TMZ had the video that the NFL never saw. To that end, and what might be his undoing for Commissioner Goodell will be that his primary responsibility to the league, as placed by the owners, for which he is the face of, is to promote the league, not dole out discipline in a criminal matter. And that's why this smells to high heaven. That's my take.
The interesting thing about that, I'm going to bring up a couple of... First of all, let me say this. There are a couple of commissioners in major sports that I really have a lot of disdain for. Bud Selig is one. Gary Bettman is another. Roger Goodell is not. And regardless of what anybody thinks of Roger Goodell now or in the past, I will say right now I've always been kind of a fan of Roger Goodell's. There's been times I have been completely in opposition to some of the things he's said, he's done. moves he's made within the game, etc. But as a commissioner, I think he's done a fine job, and I don't have any issue with him per se. Nonetheless, it was the week that all of us, or at least the majority of us here from the Frat House, were all together down in Delaware. That's, I guess, third week going into fourth week of July, when the Ray Rice suspension came out, along with a couple other things that were going on in the NFL, and I announced or pronounced then to a handful of us that were sitting around, I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I have a funny feeling that this Ray Rice thing could be Goodell's downfall. And what has seemingly occurred here, at least apparently has occurred here, is a situation of obfuscation where there are a lot of people that do not believe what this man is saying to be truthful. And therein lies part of the problem. It's become an issue of ethics, as we've talked so many times before. Now we've got Congress weighing in. We've got an alleged independent investigator that's been hired by the NFL, which, with all due respect, is a joke, because this guy is about as independent as Roger Goodell himself. Apparently he has had all kinds of dealings and what have you with the NFL in the past, works for a law firm that the NFL has hired in the past. I mean, this is ridiculous. If you're going to get an independent investigator, at least do a better job of making it look good. So I am concerned, not concerned necessarily, but I really believe that at this point right now, all things are pointing toward the fact that Goodell may be looking at his final days here in office. Anybody jump out.
Hey, I got a little something for you on the investigation, Mike. The investigator is Robert Mueller, who is a former FBI director. He's also the guy who did the Bountygate, and he was pretty unbiased with that. And the way this is working, just to give you the details, it was commissioned by John Mara, co-owner of the Giants, and Art Rooney of the Steelers. And the only reason they're involved is to give him access to anything he needs from the league. In other words, he's going to have complete control to do what he needs to do. Now, whether or not the end report is tainted or not, whatever. But they've already announced whatever he comes out with is going to be made 100% public. So, you may have questions about the investigation, but it appears they're trying to make it at least look like they're trying.
All right.
By not having Goodell is not involved with this guy at all.
I'll give it.
The two owners are overseeing it, and the owners are kind of overseeing it on behalf of the rest of the owners. So, it's more or less, their job to make sure he has access to whatever he needs to get the answers.
Well, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, and that's fine. I've got no issue with it. I'm just bringing up, something that is obvious. I mean, they're using the term independent, and I want to make sure everybody's clear. This is not some guy that they just brought in off the street who has a background in a judicial investigation of some nature. This is a guy they've known for a little while. And I hear you. I mean, all right, maybe he did okay with Bountygate. We'll see how this all pans out. Sidekick, is Goodell out of a job?
Ooh, that's a tough call. I don't think it's looking good for him. Definitely. I don't know if he's going to be out of a job. I think it depends on what comes out. How much, he was, he may have known about this or not known about this. You know what I mean? You've got, the police coming out and saying, well, no, we've got hard evidence that we gave it to them and they received it. But, where did it, if Goodell didn't see the video, where did it stop?
Right. And somebody was making a very valid point today when apparently it was 2 years ago, and I think we actually even covered it on Frat House Sports, on one of our many shows, because gosh knows, we've gone back 3 years now, but I think it was 2 years ago when Goodell made the comment or made the reference to Sean Payton with regard to the bounty gate situation, that ignorance of the rules is no defense. So ignorance of whether that tape was in NHL headquarters or not kind of comes back to bite him in the ass a little bit here. So, Uncle Mark, does he have a job yet or what?
Well, I don't think the owners at this point are necessarily prepared, as Brandon alluded to, they're not prepared for a new commissioner. They're going to rally behind him pending some federal probe at this point. And what is most unfortunate is that despite the fact the man, Goodell, has coveted, pardon me, and taken care of his job for as long as he has set himself up in a very, very bad situation. Should this go beyond the realm of the NFL to a federal, and, you know, who knew what when, and that kind of thing starts to occur, yeah, probably the man is going to have to be ousted for the benefit of the league by the owners that put him there. At the same time, what I guess flabbergasted me about Goodell was a ridiculous one-side swing of the pendulum, 2 games. He may have seen the whole video in the elevator. He may not. 2 games, Ray Rice. I'm slapping around my girl. But we're going to promote cancer awareness. We're going to include the female fan, and I ranted about it.
Right.
To the other extreme of, oh, well, now that we've seen this, geez, we had no idea really how bad kind of made a mistake. So you tell you what, he's suspended from the game forever. He can reapply for instatement. Well, that might actually come back and bite Roger.
Yep. All right, we're talking about the situation with Ray Rice, the NFL, and Roger Goodell, and we'd like to hear from you as well. 347-826-9964. That's how you get hold of us here at Frat House Sports. 347-826-9964. Gentlemen, I'm going to, let's just, for the sake of argument, say that, in fact, it comes out later on that Roger Goodell, in fact, did know about it. Maybe he hadn't seen the video. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But he had every reason to believe, based upon what others had told him, that it was pretty damn graphic. And apparently, as the one indication is from one representative over there at the NFL, pretty darn bad. So let's just say for a moment he was aware of that. Question goes to motive. What in the world? Why would you cover this up? And the cover-up, I think, comes out of the fact that it goes all the way back to the 2-game suspension.
Well, the fan base was crying out. I mean, there was an outcry.
Absolutely.
Roger, do something.
Mm-hmm. And
that's what he did. He did something. Did he overstretch his boundary? I believe he did. Did he have a little fuzzy moral compass? Again, I believe he did.
When the 2-game suspension came down, my antennae went up for a number of reasons. One being that, hey, Roger Goodell is a guy that doesn't think twice about bringing the hammer down. And so in many respects, right there, it was kind of out of character for Goodell to go so lenient on something like this. I throw this question out there. If, in fact, comes out that there has been a cover-up because it goes back to the 2-game suspension, can we potentially infer that possibly the motive was, hey, I'm protecting my owner, Steve Bisciotti, over there at the Baltimore Ravens. We can't let that team go without their star running back after the kind of season they had last year. Thoughts on that one, anybody?
Oh, I think it's ironic. He has to protect the shield. Isn't the shield designed to protect him? It's a funny thing. Roger Goodell has shot himself. There's nothing else you can say about it. He set himself on fire. I don't know how he's getting out.
Sidekick, Brandon?
Well, an interesting thing that Goodell pointed out today is, and it could just be him backpedaling, the reason he went so light was out of respect to Ray Rice's wife. And the way he put this was pretty simple. She was in the meeting. She was taking partial responsibility, saying she caused, the incident. And he felt if he'd have came down harder on Ray Rhodes, it would have been an insult to her and her part of the process. I kind of find it to be total BS, if you ask me. I think that's just a way he's trying to frame it to make it seem like he didn't go soft on Ray Rice when he did.
I could see Jana pleading for her man. I could see that. I could see Jana going into Roger Goodell or going into that meeting, and the way that I've heard it presented, with all due respect, it's absolutely the wrong environment for a woman who was knocked out the way that we saw to have to walk into a situation. I mean, a boardroom with a bunch of suits, apparently some of the top brass of the Baltimore Ravens sitting there, top brass of the NFL sitting there. I mean, this is an intimidating situation and the wrong environment all the way around. But I could see Jana pleading for her man, don't suspend him too long. I could see her taking on some of the blame for this because, look, let's get this one straight. That is the stereotype of a battered woman. This is textbook, folks. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Jana Rice right now is reflecting all of the characteristics of a woman that is being held hostage. That's what's being presented here. So I could see where Goodell might be partially right in the way he couched his comments there, based upon what I really believe was probably, perhaps maybe the motive behind the quote-unquote respect that he wants to provide to Jana. Any closing thoughts, Sidekick, before we move on to our next one?
Well, it's beginning to sound like this is what's the word I'm looking for? This stinks of culture. We heard it, about the culture with the NHL, and it sounds like this is, part of the culture of the NFL now, with how women are viewed potentially, with the dealings, PED usage and all these other things are so damning to the sport. But you hit your significant other, we're all guys, we've all been there, that kind of thing. So you know what I mean?
Thanks, Andy. Thank you very much, Andy.
I wasn't trying to sound like Andy, but you know what I mean.
You did.
It's that, the culture of the sport, so.
Oh, no! I heard somebody make the comment today to the effect of that they felt that the longer this were to drag out, the worse it might get for Goodell. I actually disagree completely. If Goodell can weather the storm of perhaps the next 10 days, I think he holds on to his job. I think if anything's going to happen to Goodell, it's going to happen within the next couple of days. Something's going to come out, or somebody's going to put some pressure on him somewhere, asking him to resign of his own volition. We'll have to wait and see how much pressure this whole congressional nonsense puts on the NFL. I, for one, don't feel that this is a place for our legislature to be involved. Stay the hell out of it. I'm sick, so retired. My attitude is they ought to be cleaning their own house up before they go trying to clean somebody else's. But if, in fact, some members of Congress over there are serious about trying to pursue something here, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the NFL that do not want the U.S. government going through the dirty laundry of the NFL, and I would imagine that at some point somebody's going to put pressure on Goodell to say, look, do us all a favor, walk away, and we can call Congress's dogs off. So we'll see how this all plays out. If he makes it through the next 10 days, I think he's probably going to be secure.
Do you really think that's going to be over in 10 days, though, Mike? I have a feeling this investigation is going to take months. I mean, the Bountygate thing took months till they came out with a conclusion. I don't think this is going to come out in 10 days. I think this is going to be months, maybe even to the end of the season almost. And I think that in itself will, time will calm it down just because it's going to go.
Yep. Right. I hear you. That's going to go ahead.
I think the point that Mike was trying to make is right now you've got this upswell of public opinion, and
Correct.
he needs to survive the witch hunt that's going on right now for his job. If he can survive this initial push of this witch hunt, then he there's a good chance he'll stay pending whatever is found out in this investigation. But public opinion may get him to a point now where he needs to either, potentially look at, stepping back and, suspending himself or backing down and temporarily turning over the reins of the NFL.
If I may,
we'll have to see.
If I may, you got to remember the audience that Roger Goodell right now is playing to is not the fan. Okay, so let's all four of us stop looking at this like a fan, because we as fans are at the bottom of the feeding chain. The audience that this is playing to are the owners whose face he represents and has now smeared mud on. And how that goes, because this has been removed from the rank and file of an NFL issue into a federal probe, potentially, which I laugh at and I giggle at because I think our lawmakers should be doing something more important, but I digress.
I agree with you.
That being said, the NFL owners right now do not want to see this season torpedoed, unless maybe you're Jacksonville. I'm joking, but I think you get the point. We want to keep this guy floating. If he's got to go, let him go when it's not money ball.
Well, and
that's where this goes.
And Psychic, thank you. You clarified my point exactly to Brandon, because Brandon's point, do I think it's going to go, could it go much longer than 10 days? My contention on that is that's going to be entirely dependent upon the fan base. Because, with all due respect, you got to see how antsy we got when certain things drug on and on and on. How antsy we got when the Jim Irsay thing went on for months. How antsy we got when there wasn't an announcement about our guy up there in Cleveland over the marijuana situation. Josh, help me out.
Gordon.
The names. Thank you. Not coming right to my head. Right. Thank you. So, are people going to be satisfied sitting back and waiting on an issue like this? Are Ray Rice's people going to be happy sitting back waiting on a situation like this? Because, look, he can come in for reinstatement by the beginning of next season. So, is some of this going to delay some of that? I mean,
Well, all the other stuff you're talking about, people were crying for answers, and the NFL didn't move any faster. Yeah, but they didn't move any faster.
Yeah, but Brandon, on this, they're going to lose.
Drug on for months.
They're going to lose their credibility. They're going to lose their credibility completely on this one if they drag their feet.
Well, they're going to drag their feet. They're going to claim they're doing a thorough investigation, and it's not going to happen in a matter of 2-3 weeks. It's going to be 2 months minimum.
Yeah,
it's going to be halfway into the season minimum before they even address this report.
If it even comes out before the end of the season.
Well, that was my other point. Yeah.
Well, all right. I think too, though, the question has to go to these basic questions. What the hell are we investigating? Aren't we basically investigating who knew what and when?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Right?
I hope they bring in IT people, because speaking for what Sidekick and I do for a living outside of this is, if there was a file, an audio file, video file sent to the NFL, I'm assuming it was probably digital at some way or another. There would be a way to track it. And it probably came through some kind of an email system, and it's probably very trackable as to who got it, whose machines it's on, et cetera, et cetera. So they could easily, if they truly wanted to, they could find out who actually had access to it. And there's a digital trail. There's no doubt.
And basically that's all this comes down to. The investigation comes down to who knew what, if anything, and when. And if the bottom line is that the AP report that came out yesterday is completely bullcrap, well, then guess what? Then there's no issue here at all, is there?
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about that is there is a little bit of a discrepancy on one of the factors of that AP report. There was a time discrepancy on the amount of time in between something. I'd have to go back to look at it to be more specific, but from the time the file was received or supposedly sent to the time when they got the voicemail from the woman who said, yeah, that looks bad. It was the guy who supposedly supplied the file gave a date that he supposedly supplied it, but yet the voicemail's timestamped 2 months prior to that. So there is a little discrepancy. I'm not sure, exactly. I think the file was sent in like May, and the voicemail was early April. So I'm not sure, exactly there. So that whole AP thing may turn out to be bogus, but so far the NFL has not said anything other than they're looking into it. So I think they're more or less validating it by saying that.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think, though, however, there is a bit of a difference between what we were talking about with New Orleans and Bountygate, where we were talking about, and we go back to that term that Sidekick just brought up, that issue of culture and how long this kind of activity had gone on, and the paper trail that had been going on before it, not for one season but for multiple seasons. We're talking about something a little bit different there that I could see would have taken a greater deal of time than something about who knew what when at NFL headquarters with regard to the receipt of a couple of seconds of digital video, sometime within the past 4 months.
It's more than a couple. It's more than a couple seconds. According to the Associated Press, what TMZ put out, as Dave was kind of referring to earlier, is a lesser copy of what the whole is. In other words, the footage is much more clearer on the original. It has sound, and it has what led up to that punch. And there's quite a bit edited out, according to the Associated Press. They had a report out yesterday that a law enforcement official showed the actual entire video to an Associated Press reporter in its entirety, but it cannot be released because it's still part of evidence. But supposedly there's a lot more, including, her being combative, hitting him, spitting at him, et cetera, prior to being dropped by the left hand, which we've all seen a million times by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying that justifies his actions, but it is a little slimy on TMZ's part just to get the shock value of, okay, we'll show you walking in the elevator, and then within 5 seconds he's dropping her with a left.
I understand.
I find a little distasteful. I mean, because that makes it look out like he was just waiting to deck her, where there was more that led up to it. I'm not excusing his actions. Yeah. It's just they need to be, they obviously don't care about, the total truth of the situation.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, we've spent a lot of time on this one. 347-826-9964. Jump in with us here at Frat House Sports. Give us your thoughts on what's going on there with Roger Goodell, with Ray Rice, and all this nonsense, please give us a holler. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to move on because I got a little calling out to do. I'm going to call out Sidekick tonight. Sidekick, you put up a post on our Frat House Sports Facebook page the other day, gleefully jumping up and down, or at least that's the way it sounded like, that Penn State sanctions had been rolled over by the NCAA, that they had pulled them back. Penn State was now bowl eligible. And I'm calling you out on that one because you're the first one that is always highly critical of the NCAA, and on this particular case, it's going to be me. That is a joke. Look, I'm not opposed. I never necessarily felt that the whole situation with Penn State was handled fairly or correctly. But this is why NCAA, in my opinion, as a quote-unquote governing body, is an absolute disgrace and a joke. Let's lay down sanctions. Let's put up penalties. Let's make teams ineligible. And then, oh, by the way, when the pressure gets bad enough, and it's looking like the terrain won't be able to tolerate Penn State being out of the Big Ten that long, well, let's roll it back. And we'll make everybody think that, it was A-okay. You know something? All they had to do was make the sanctions 2 years. Everybody would have been fine had you done that to begin with. But by making it longer and then constantly doing this, and Penn State's not the only team that they've done this with, this is a consistent pattern on the NCAA's part to do this sort of thing and then come in and, we're going to be nice guys. Look, aren't we good after all? We'll roll it back and we're going to give you a second chance. Well, where I think the NCAA made a bigger mistake was in this one, and I'm going to be looking for your comment on this one, Sidekick, because while they're rolling back the sanctions, giving them all their scholarships back, letting them be bowl eligible, the one they didn't give back were all those wins they took away from that team and from Joe Paterno. That was outright wrong, but notice they kept that penalty in place. This is a disgrace what the NCAA did. Absolutely a disgrace, and they are a fraud organization who cannot be believed. Go ahead, weigh in, everybody. I'm waiting on Sidekick.
Well, see, here's the thing. Strictly from a fan perspective, as a Penn State fan, I am happy that we can go to a bowl game and that next year we get the rest of the scholarships back. That's speaking strictly as a fan of Penn State. Now, what you were saying about me being critical of the NCAA, I'm still critical of the NCAA for this double standard that they, or not double, but what they do here. Okay, are you really trying to make people believe that, Penn State's done such a noble job of fixing themselves that, we're going to let them off early for good behavior? Or, like you said, did you come in so hard on them with the penalty that you're like, maybe we kind of overstepped there, so now we kind of have to backpedal a little bit, and now they look like the clowns that they are.
I don't think it was a situation where they suddenly now are, examining their navel and sitting there going, something, guys, I think in retrospect, we might have been a little tough on them. I don't think that's it at all. I think what they're looking at is the Big Ten landscape. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at a Penn State team that could have been going to a bowl game last year, that possibly would have been a ranked team, and a contender. And I think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at the money they're losing.
Mike, I totally disagree with you. Last year, Ohio State was a top-ranked, undefeated team that was on sanctions. I'm not taking anything away from Ohio State,
and they didn't
reinstate them. I know that, but it's not a matter of that. If it was a Big Ten worried about a good team not being bowl eligible, they had a team that could have been a national champion last year that wasn't eligible at all because they were suspended or they were on sanction. I mean, it's exactly the same thing.
Well, to me, I just, somebody's got to explain it to me. I'd like to hear a better explanation from somebody in the NCAA, aside from the fact that, as Sidekick just said, and you're not even buying it yourself, Sidekick, that, we're acquiescing to Penn State because they've done such a good job of cleaning house. Bull crap. Anybody else?
All right, I'll weigh in.
I'll
weigh in on this one. I see a tremendous parallel between this particular story, the Penn State, and the NFL right now with Roger Goodell and what he's going through. And here's why. Because I think that NCAA President Mark Emmert, in his attempt at punishment of Penn State a couple of years ago, due to a very similar cry by the fan base and, football fandom in general of do something, made a move. But the problem was Penn State experienced criminal activity behind the face of the football program. But really, he could not actually punish the men involved. All he could do was punish the program behind which the criminal activity took place. This is much like Goodell. I'm trying to read my fan base. I'm putting my finger in the air and seeing which way the wind blows. So that was wrong. But the problem with this story is two wrongs really don't make a right. And I have to agree with Frat House Mike right now. The NCAA stripped all 112 wins from Penn State, and they're going to keep that in place. In addition, they fined Penn State as an institution $60 million, and they're going to keep that in place. What is the NCAA going to let up on? How are they going to either ease up or throttle down? Well, consider, and I absolutely echo you, Frat House Mike. Had it been eligible, Penn State would have attended bowl games in 2012 and 2013. And as part of the oldest conference of 14 teams, there is no doubt in my mind the NCAA absolutely sees a money grab. We've got the tourney, and we've got a brand new thing in NCAA football called playoffs coming. Listen, the sanctions were designed and intended to, quote, punish. But really, you can't criminally punish. I mean, former VP Gary Schultz, former athletic director Tim Curley, former president Graham Spanier, they still face perjury charges in Pennsylvania, and they've been fired, okay? These punishments were properly doled out via the criminal justice system, not by the NCAA. So I have a little problem with the NCAA coming in now and saying, morally, we're going to acquiesce. We're going to let you back in. Because quite frankly, okay, Penn State has showed after 2 years that they've gotten improvement in their program and their ethics. But the bottom line is they put their program ahead of education and ethics, making its interests bigger than the institution. And that's what the sanctions were for. So let me ask you, after 2 years, should I expect less than Penn State is doing the right thing? I certainly hope not. Because at halfway, I think it's a little early to call an audible on restoring the money-making part of their football program for the NCAA with forked tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then to muddy this just a little bit more, you've got Bobby Bowden now coming out and saying, hey, I think the NCAA should give Joe Paterno back all of his wins.
Well, thank you. Well, I think for the first time I might be a Bobby Bowden fan.
Well, very like Janae to Ray Rice, the wild card in this whole mix, because I consider her a wild card, is Scott Paterno, son of Joe, who still is pursuing a lawsuit against the NCAA. He's seeking truth, okay? And he would like to restore some, if not all, of his father's wins. Never mind sympathy, never mind understanding of victims and culpability that Joe Pa may have. My bad.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Go ahead.
And that's what kind of stinks. You know, I'm sitting here reading the articles and stuff like that, and then Scott Paterno goes and opens his mouth. Couldn't you just let the NCAA say, okay, we're going to lower, we're going to allow Penn State a bowl game, we're going to give this back. But no, now Scott Paterno's got to go in and weigh in and, start digging up stuff.
I don't have a problem with Scott Paterno. Scott Paterno, first of all, let's remember something. He's no longer an employee of Penn State. And what he's doing is he's out there really trying to preserve the name of his father. And I don't have a problem with his particular mission at this time of his life. If that's what he feels strongly about, and he obviously does, I've seen the man interviewed multiple times, and I think he has every right to feel strongly about it. I don't have a problem with Scott Paterno's comments. I really don't. I'm good with it. Listen, let it fall where it is. You know, if he were making the comments and he were still an employee of PSU, well, then that's a different situation. But all right, we're even talking a little NCAA football here. 347-826-9964. 347-826-9964. We're waiting on you. We've hit on a couple of hot button topics here, folks. Huh?
Yo, man, we love you.
Well, we do. Well, we've hit on a couple of hot ones here. I mean, we got NFL, we got Goodell, we got Ray Rice. Now we've touched on Penn State. You can't handle the truth. I mean, seriously, I've got to have pissed somebody off out there in Penn State Nation with my comments.
Well, maybe.
Hey, you could just tell them you're all a big Michigan fan. That'll, then you'll really get them.
Well, that's ultimately why he's all bent out of shape. It's because he is a Michigan fan.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Absolutely no truth to any of that.
If you go looking on our Frat House page, every weekend you see all about Michigan State.
Yes.
Yeah, all about
Michigan. Whoa! Stop Michigan State.
University of Michigan.
Thank you. Don't you dare be saying Michigan State in my presence.
See what I mean? But anyway, you go out there and all the love is given to Michigan.
I will not deny that, but I come in on this because look, I'll leave it right here. Let's say there were similar circumstances. Let's say there were OSU circumstances applied to my Michigan Wolverines, or PSU, sanctions applied to my Michigan team. And the circumstances were reversed, and suddenly Michigan's getting hey, we're going to give you a reprieve. I would be making the same comments I am right now with regard to Penn State. I would make the same comments. So my attitude is this. If the NCAA is there, and that is their job, to oversee everything that is going on, including, as we're pointing out, disciplinary issues, violations, etc., well then, okay, then you've got to respect that, whether you like it or not. You respect it, and I would go there that way. So there it is. But all right, we're going to bring up one more real hot topic. I think I don't know. This one to me isn't quite getting the light of day that it should, and it's probably not because I think it's being overshadowed by everything that's going on over in the NFL. I'm going to bring up an NBA topic here that kind of, when I first read it, I'm shaking my head 5, 6, 7 times back and forth going, what the hell? The Atlanta Hawks owner, Bruce Levinson, the other day, essentially came down and, he kind of pulled an NCAA move with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. He self-reported a 2-year-old email that he sent to the team's general manager where he used some racially toned language and questioned outright in the memo, which was rather lengthy, and you can find it on the internet, why his arena's audience was not more white, basically. Now, first of all, I'm sitting there, I'm going, are you kidding me? Well, first of all, nobody would have known about this if you didn't bring light to it. Well, apparently, in the same parameter of bringing attention to it, he made it known to Adam Silver, the new NBA commissioner, that as a result of his bringing this to the forefront, and you must read all of his comments, that is Bruce Levinson's, where he is whining and crying about how remorseful he is about all of his horrific comments that he made in this email. He indicated that what he had intended to do was, as a result of this, he was not going to wait for NBA action. He would begin divesting himself, and he would sell the team off to a new owner. Now, I'm sitting back and I'm going, are you kidding me? Let's get a little background here about the Atlanta Hawks. First of all, we already know. Didn't we just get done seeing something similar to this with the LA Clippers? Donald Sterling, all this nonsense. And, ultimately the team got sold. A team that was valued at what? What did we say? $500,000, I believe, for $2 billion. Forbes has got the Atlanta Hawks ranked 27th out of 30 teams right now in the NBA, valued at approximately $425 million. The Hawks also have consistently had an attendance problem. Last year, again, ranked near the bottom. They were ranked 28th out of 30 in attendance last season, averaging just over 14,000 fans a game. In addition to which, we talked about it during the whole Donald Sterling being castigated, thrown out as an owner, and the NBA coming in there and indicating that they were going to take that situation over and find a new owner. We had talked about how the NBA has been wanting to get a team over into Seattle. That's been an ongoing situation. But let's not forget, it was only within, the first 10 days of Silver's tenure, as the brand new commissioner. I think it was only within the first 10 days that we saw that firm Silver standing up there at the podium, dealing with this Donald Sterling situation, his brow furrowed, his eyes squinted down, very firm commissioner saying, we're not going to put up with this. I'm levying a $2.5 million fine against this man, and he is banned from the NBA forever. Instead, what we have heard is Adam Silver accolading Bruce Levinson for bringing this to everybody's attention, applauding him. There's been no fines. There's been no permanent ban. But yes, go right ahead, Mr. Levinson. You go find yourself a new owner. That's the moral and ethical thing to do. You go do that. Isn't that right? And we will make ourselves a better NBA, and we won't be like that horrible guy over there in the NFL. What's his name? Roger Goodell. Are you kidding me? Is anybody seeing this for what it is? This is a ploy by some carpetbagging, stinking owner to sell off a team that he knows damn well that he probably couldn't get away with selling for the exact value that Forbes says it is. Now what he's going to do is he's going to test the whole LA Clippers theory and send this out to the largest bidder and probably get himself $1.25 billion. Are you kidding me? This is nonsense. And it's a disgrace. And the commissioner has bought right into this nonsense. It's outrageous. That's all this is. Thoughts on this one as I go after more and more commissioners. Okay, how many more can we go after tonight? I've hit on all four of them, haven't I? Anybody's thoughts on this nonsense?
Yeah, well, here's what I would say. Bruce Levinson, the managing partner that we're talking about, who sent his quote, more or less resignation after coming clean to Commissioner Silver, he sent it to the general manager, a fellow named Danny Ferry, as well as other members of the ownership group, and of course that's the Atlanta Spirit Group. Okay, those guys own the Hawks, they own the Thrashers, they own Phillips Arena, and essentially they own two franchises and an arena that cannot sell out or do well in pro franchise business. But Danny Ferry, to me, is the bigger story because, in fact, he's looking, Danny Ferry, the general manager of the Hawks, is looking to face discipline from the team's ownership for comments he made during a team meeting that were essentially deemed offensive and racist on a conference call. So, evidently now the CEO of the Hawks, Steve Koonin, has disciplined yet allowed Danny Ferry to remain the manager, the general manager of the team, despite what the now majority owner, Michael Gearin, has recommended of, hey, listen, I want resignation or I want him terminated. To me, this is a real head-scratcher, dude. It would appear Levinson gets a golden parachute. It appears Ferry's taking a dive, but not really taking a dive. He's going to be okay. I don't get what this is apart from a real test for Sterling in the crucible of what has been the Sterling incident.
Yeah, I saw the whole situation with the general manager getting disciplined as well, Uncle Mark, and I thought that was just a bizarre situation. And it wasn't even, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it wasn't even the current owner. It was the, minority owners. It was the other managing owners that actually came out against Ferry for his alleged comments on that. So the whole situation to me is bizarre. But I'll tell you what I think it just smacks of. It just smacks of a money grab. I mean, we've used the term now numerous times tonight. That's what it grabs me as.
Yeah, I would agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, there is, for some reason, Bruce Levinson might actually extricate himself from the proceedings by getting in front of a story, whether it was bogus, concocted, poppycock, inflated. He's going to attempt to get out of this. And evidently, I mean, according to Commissioner Silver, he's already lauded, you may have said it at the top, he's lauded Levinson for being so upfront and candid about the fact, you hate those filthy, rotten, yeah. But to me, this is all back-ass words. And I'm with you. I'm just stymied by it.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts from anybody around the room? All right. Unfortunately, now much of the first week, anyhow, of the NFL action, because yes, we did have a week one last week. I don't know if anybody noticed, but there were games that were played in the NFL last week. Much of that has been overshadowed all week long by the situation with Ray Rice and Roger Goodell and what have you. Nonetheless, I'm here to remind everybody that, yes, there is an NFL Week 2 that actually starts tonight. And, yes, approximately within 21 minutes between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do I have the matchup correctly there? I think I do. But our NFL segment and our NFL report this week being brought to you by, as always, our good friends Carl and Jim over at CLW83.com. And I'm asking you, please get over there to their website and check out their sports-related, and their other programs. It's not all just sports. We do all sports. That's what Frat House Sports does. We do all sports. But get over there and check out some of their other programs as well that they have over at CLW 83, all talk show programs that they've got over there. CLW83.com. Excuse me. Despite obvious changes here, we're on internet radio, despite the obvious changes that we've got with our programming here that we're introducing this evening. Some of our favorite features we plan on keeping. And one of those, they've told us we only have about 4 minutes to get through. So we're going to bring that one.
And now, 4 minutes of football.
All righty, one game down for the Giants, and it already sounds like the G-Men's locker room is melting down. After losing badly to the Detroit Lions, 35-14 on Monday night, evidence here is wide receiver Victor Cruz, who was whining on Tuesday to the New York Daily News, quote, "I think in order for us to be successful, there needs to be an increased number of targets in my direction." Cruz failed to mention that he was targeted 6 times and caught exactly 2 of those passes for a total of 24 yards. Fact is, though, folks, the Giants had to it had to be absolutely the worst game of the week. The Giants, I am here to tell you, are absolutely horrible. And as I pointed out on our Facebook page, I'm not just saying that because they happen to be in my division. They are horrible. I've seen high school offenses that were more imaginative and effective. Eli Manning ended the evening with a 53.0 QB rating after going 18 of 33 for 169 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, and 2 sacks. I have a funny feeling it's going to be a very, very long season for the Giants. They might end up getting the number 1 draft pick. In the wake of quick and repeated casino resort failures in Atlantic City, New Jersey, the media in this area quickly reported on Monday how the sports betting was now legal in New Jersey following a proclamation by Governor Chris Christie that the state's ban on sports betting had been lifted. This was an obvious attempt, albeit perhaps too little too late, to bolster the gaming industry, which has been crumbling over the past number of, probably really for the better part of a year in New Jersey. But hold on there, because I got to tell you, it can't be that easy. According to Pro Football Talk, quote, "The NFL has aggressively opposed the expansion of legalized sports wagering, filing lawsuits with other sports leagues to block efforts to launch wagering programs in Delaware and New Jersey. After the leagues prevailed against New Jersey's efforts to expand sports wagering by passing a new law, New Jersey decided to simply quit enforcing the laws on the book. Undoubtedly, the NFL will fight back either by instigating the Justice Department to take action against New Jersey's apparent defiance of federal law or by filing yet another lawsuit. In short, folks, it comes down to this. It's going to be a little while. All right? Might be as long as, say, that report coming from our independent investigator over in the NFL.
See, the problem was Governor Christie never told the outlets, that gaming was legal. And the other problem for Ravel was, after Ray Rice stalked his now wife, they had to close.
That's what it was. You got it. Through all the controversy,
I think it had something to do with the $2 billion of debt they had too.
Yeah.
Well,
no. I might. Yeah, probably more legitimately the case. Through all the controversy of Ray Rice this week, many may have missed the $1 million lawsuit filed against Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones for, sexual assault. Jada Weckerly, a former exotic dancer, claims that Jones forcibly grabbed her and sexually assaulted her without her consent. Quote, are we ready? This is her quote. Sometime in May or June 2009.
For you jackwagon?
Some might recall the racy photos of Jones with some young women that were released a month ago, which since has been reported part of an alleged extortion plot against Jones? Well, the pictures were of one Jana Weckerly. Can anyone say gold bricking? Holy smokes, are you kidding me? Listen, I'm not a big Jerry Jones fan, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I were him, I ain't giving her one stinking penny of any nature, not even to go away. I'm fighting this nonsense. That woman is a disgrace.
From the looks of those pictures, it looked like you already paid her.
Hey, maybe we should send Ray Rice.
Uh-oh, no!
I kid, I joke.
Yes, hold on, wait a minute. I got it. No, I'm not paying attention.
Oh, no!
There we go.
Really? You're going to come...
Gold bricking, right?
I just want to say...
Understand.
It's gold bricking.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. It's so blatant, it's not even funny. It's grotesque.
Well, exactly. And then, come to find out, she's linked to the racy photos that were released, a month or two ago. It's like, okay. We see what this is all about.
Everything's bigger in Texas, boys.
Well,
sitting
there saying, supposedly it was her, Jerry Jones, and another woman, and she was forced, what was it? She did not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
she didn't agree to it or something.
You're talking about Jana?
Would be the word.
Shall we beam you aboard?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you very much. Are you talking about Jana Weckerly is the one that said that? Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were trying to quote Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman. Well,
hey, everything's bigger in Texas, they say.
It was sexual relations. Is
that what he said? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah, because if he'd have said sex, oral sex is still sex by definition. Sexual relations gets him off the hook.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Brandon. We appreciate yes. You got well. Okay, yeah, you're right. No. Thank you for the proper CF on that one. I got it wrong. But look, I'm not. Jerry Jones is no choir boy. I mean, let's get this one straight. I'm sure we've seen him at his best at different times. I'm remembering the drunken stupor at the piano bar, but this one it's so evident that it's and for one time I got to give it to him. I mean, when the pictures came out, he was right there and he said, "This is absolutely outrageous, and there's nothing to this." All right. One of our other favorite features that will not change. Just because we've moved over to this radio media, is our weekly NFL picks of the week. And I think all of us here are hoping that we do just a bit better this week than last. Psychic, you and I right now currently are 2-2. Uncle Mark is 1-3 after just week one, but that's just week one, so there's plenty of time. How about you guys out there listening? How are you doing with your picks? And we're going to go through 4 games that we've chosen here. 347-826-9964. Give us a holler and let us know what you think with regard to some of these games or how your picks would go on a couple of these that we're mentioning right now. Maybe we're not mentioning a game that you think is even more important. So give us a holler then. 347-826-9964. Here's our chosen matchups for this week. We're going to start it off with the Detroit Lions, who won their game. They're 1-0 right now at the Carolina Panthers, who similarly won. That is a 1 o'clock game on Sunday. And I got to start off by just saying, gentlemen, wow. It certainly looked like Matt Stafford has returned to his 2012 form. Of course, let's not forget it was against the Giants. As I mentioned earlier, the Lions throttled the Giants last week, 35-14. Stafford was 22 of 32 for 346 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Predictably, He had a healthy QB rating. In fact, I predicted it of 125.3. Calvin Johnson was flat out scary. And I don't mind saying that. Yeah, for me, he was real scary because my fantasy opponent had him on his team. With 7 receptions for 164 yards and 2 TDs himself. Throw in Golden Tate with an additional 93 yards and Reggie Bush with another 49. And the question becomes, who needs a running game? Defense wasn't half bad. They sacked Eli Manning twice and knocked him around an additional 9 times. Now, meanwhile, down in Tampa, Cam Newton-less Panthers managed a 2014 win over the Buccaneers. I'm guessing we're going to see Cam Newton returning from the rib issues he encountered during the preseason this weekend. All I can say is he better safely protect himself against that Donkey Kong Sue. Watch for D'Angelo Williams. Watch for D'Angelo Williams, though, coming off of this injury to have a big game on the ground. At least one could hope so. Gentlemen, Carolina is a 3-point home favorite. Who wants to start it off? Where are we going?
Sorry. Whoop. There we go. Sorry. New interface. Got to get used to the new interface. I'm not buying that line at all, man. I mean, Cam Newton is coming back this week. Still don't know how he is with his injuries. I'm going with the Lions on this one.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Mark?
Yeah, about the only thing of interest I can tell you is that you've got in this matchup 2 former number 1 overall drafted quarterbacks in Stafford and Newton. The Lions are dominant. They're going to continue to be. While he is my fantasy quarterback, I don't know I'm starting him, that being Cam Newton. I like the Lions by 3.
Matt Stafford impressed me in that, and again, I'm going to qualify it. I mean, I'm couching it. It was against the Giants, and they looked positively horrible on both sides of the ball. But Matt Stafford was impressive. And Megatron was absolutely, as I pointed out again, scary. Just flat out scary. I can't see Carolina stopping them. I don't care if the game's in Carolina or not. I'm taking Detroit on this one. And in fact, I think they might beat them by more than 3. All right. Where am I here? We're going over to New England Patriots. New England Patriots. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're 0-1. They didn't win last week against the Minnesota Vikings, who are, what? Yeah, they're 1-0. And that's a 1 o'clock game on Sunday. And I don't think anyone around here saw a 33-20 loss to the Miami Dolphins for the Patriots. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't know how prudent it is either, though, for Tom Brady to be putting the ball in the air 56 times. Yeah, you heard me. 56 times Tom Brady put the ball in the air. And,
no!
Only got 1 TD to show for it. Being sacked for it 4 times along the way. This week they got to travel to Minneapolis and take on a team that's feeling pretty good about their 34-6 smackdown of the St. Louis Rams. And that was with a really what I would call kind of pedestrian performance by Matt Castle. 17 of 25, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kudos to the defense, though, in Minnesota for that pick 6 they had. I don't know. Perhaps this game isn't as automatic as everyone might think. New England, though, is a 3-point favorite. Uncle Mark?
Well, it's a funny thing, I find it ironic that Brady last week before the game would come out and say, I'll quit when I suck, and then he came out on Sunday and absolutely did that. On the other side, the Patriots are favored. They evidently know the quarterback under center for the Vikings in Matt Castle very well. 34-6, their win over the Rams. I mean, it looks like a shellacking. 33-20 loss to Miami. Well, the Pats don't play well in Miami. I'll tell you what. I'll go out on a limb. At this point, the Pats are on the road for a second straight win, second straight week. And I don't see Coach Belichick losing this. I'm going with the Patriots by 3 at least.
Mm-hmm. Sidekick?
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings really did a number on my Rams last week, who just looked absolutely horrible. But I can't see the Patriots going 0-2 to start this season. So I'm going with the Patriots. We
are all 100% in agreement. Everybody's taken everybody's words right out of their mouth. I can't see, New England going 0-2 or losing 2 in a row. And I'm not convinced that Minnesota is really all that, even at home. I'm taking New England on this one.
I like Cordarrelle Patterson. A lot to say about the guy, but may not be enough.
Okay, Game 3. Atlanta Falcons 1-0 versus the Cincinnati Bengals 1-0. 1 o'clock game Eastern Time on Sunday. Atlanta is coming off of a big 37-34 win against the New Orleans Saints. And I got to tell you, I think they did an awful lot to begin building or rebuilding their redemption. We saw the quarterback there throw, Matt Ryan threw for a staggering 448 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, no surprise you've got Julio Jones and Devin Hester in the mix. I'm not certain that the Falcons, this is my only real problem with them, is that I'm not certain that they're really just an offense-only team. And anytime we encounter one of those, we know that they just don't have staying power. Well, at least not staying power throughout the entire season. So we'll wait and see on that. But it certainly was quite an offensive performance by the Atlanta Falcons. Not sure that the Cincinnati Bengals have staying power either, but we know that they have a damn good kicker. Mike Nugent went 5 for 6 on field goals and secured 15 of the Bengals' 23 points versus the Baltimore Ravens' 16. Andy Dalton did his best impression of Tom Brady, putting the ball in the air a lot, like 38 times a lot, and only showing 1 TD at the end of the game. Suggestions to the Bengals from me: get Giovanni Bernard a bit more involved and establish a ground game. Odds makers are not buying that the Falcons are on a redemption trip just yet either. Bengals right now are a 5-point favorite. Sidekick, what do you got here?
Well, this is my bomb diggity bomb pick of the week, and unfortunately, I don't have a soundbite for that.
I realized that when we went into this segment, I tried to upload it and it wouldn't let me do it. So
somebody's got to go.
We'll have to fight next.
Go ahead. There you go, Mark. Yeah. Thank you very much, Uncle Mark. All right.
There you go.
Bomb diggity bomb.
Thank you.
Penalty.
A penalty on Sidekick's bomb diggity bomb for the week.
Yeah, this is my bomb pick of the week. I know, Matty Ice had this really great first season game matchup, but they're going up against the Bengals. I'm going with the Bengals on this one. I think the defense is going to shut down the Falcons.
Uncle Mark?
All right, here's what, I don't want to pee on your parade there, Frat House Mike. I like the intro, but quite frankly, I'm not too sold on these Falcons. Let's not forget. Yeah, they did beat the Saints. Okay, their hated rival, 37-34, but it did take overtime to get there. So this was really anybody's game. I don't think the Falcons have yet necessarily proven anything. It's Julio Jones versus A.J. Green. It's Matty Ice versus Big Money Dalton. I think on paper, perhaps the Falcons may have a little more in the tank. But in reality, the Bengals are going to win this by 7. They absolutely didn't have, you're right, quite the ground game. I think they'll get that in gear where they lacked it with the Ravens, who they just dismantled, in my view, 23-16 the prior week. And the Ravens, of course, are just a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I praise the Falcons for being a highly offensive team. And that's why in looking at this particular game, I kind of went back and forth over it. But I think in the end, I got to kind of go where Sidekick went with it. I think the defense of the Bengals is going to stand up in the end. This might come down to being a fourth quarter, last possession game. Whoever has the ball last is going to win this. But it's going to mean at some point or another during the course of the game, Cincinnati's defense is going to have to hold firm to get Cincinnati in the position to be leading at that particular point. I'm going to go with Cincinnati on this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the point spread on it. I frankly think I would pick the Falcons. I think the spread will be lower in the end. But heads up, head-to-head, I'm taking the Bengals. Last but not least, we're going to go take a look at an interesting one here, and I say it's interesting not because it's my team, but because, well, I think the spread is rather interesting, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, who are, in my opinion, barely 1-0, going to Indianapolis, who are 0-1. Huh? Yeah, right. And that's our Monday night game, 8:35 Eastern Time. Eagles fans had to be coaxed off the ledge last week as many were ready to jump off bridges when they went down 17-0 to the Jacksonville Jaguars at the half. Ultimately, those were the last points so that the Jags would score as the Eagles came back in the second half to win 34-17. Nick Foles was exactly what I think he is. Oh, you haven't heard this from me in a while. Hey, how about mediocre? 27 of 45 for 322 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, sacked 5 times. LaShawn McCoy was ho-hum, 74 yards on 21 carries, 3.5-yard average. Promising tight end Zach Ertz got into the flow with 77 yards and a TD. The Eagles right now have offensive line problems, and they have a defense that last week against Jaguar was porous in every sense of the word. Porous. Yeah. Piss porous.
That's Latin, right? Pissus porus. I think that's a Latin term. Yeah.
Now, the Colts came back a bit in the second half after being down 24-7 at the half to the Denver Broncos. But unfortunately for them, that just wasn't enough. They lost by 7, 31-24. For all the accolades on Andrew Luck, these are the types of numbers that I'm used to seeing and expect. 35 of 53, 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I got to be honest, gentlemen, I'm not sold that the Colts are a top 5 team in the NFL. And perhaps that's what the odd makers are thinking as well by making the Colts a mere home 3-point favorite. And that's what blows me away about this game, folks. Only 3 points for the Colts? Huh? Really? Uncle Mark?
Well, I'll be honest, this is a pick game for me. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, so the Eagles come back, they win 34-17 over to the Jags. I don't think it proved anything except that, well, they were going to keep swinging and throw enough at the wall until something stuck. On the other side of it, kudos to the Colts. I mean, they put 24 points of offense up against Denver. So in what could have been a one-way match or otherwise a shootout, at least the Colts kind of kept pace with Denver. I really don't know where to go with this. I'm going to go, it's a funny thing. I'm just going to go with, I guess, homerism or against the grain. I'll take the Eagles. I'll take the Eagles to win it. Colts are favored by 3. I'm going to throw that 3 to the Eagles ultimately. I think it'll be a kicking game. Not unlike Falcons Bengals you had mentioned before. It might come down to 3.
Interesting. Sidekick?
Well, the Eagles struggled to get going against Jacksonville. Whereas, on the other side of the coin, you have the Colts who are keeping up with the Broncos. This is going to be in Indianapolis, in the Dome. Mm-hmm. I'm going with the Colts on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look, I love the Eagles. I'm sitting here with my Eagles gear on this evening as we do this program.
I didn't notice.
You didn't see that, yeah. I see. We're it's a different environment now.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not. I root for my team, and I have for 35, 40 years. But I'm not sold on this regime. I haven't been since the guy came to town. And frankly, everybody wants to go on about Nick Foles and Chip Kelly. I've been saying for a while, I think a lot of their season last year was, well, a lot of luck. Oops, that's the guy they're meeting this week. No luck this week. Indianapolis wins this one easily. Easily. The Eagles come down to earth. All right, there you have it.
Are you jackwagon?
There's our football report for this week. And many, many thanks to our folks over at CLW83.com for helping us out there. Thank you, guys. I'm going to rely on my two racing guys for me this evening because I kind of ran out a little bit of time on the racing report, but I've got some bare bones stuff put together here. But we got NASCAR coming up right now, and that's our NASCAR report. As we're going into the second season, we're going into the playoffs, we're going into what everybody knows as the chase. And as always, our race report for this week is brought to you by our friends down at Herb FM Sports Radio. And, hey, check them out on the internet, will you please? Over at herbfm.com. Lots of good sports programming.
Start your engine.
Lots of good sports programming over there on herbfm.com. Saturday night, 10:15 Eastern Time. You can catch the live broadcast of the Western New Mexico Mustangs versus Arizona Christian. That's 10:15 Eastern Time on herbfm.com. And earlier in the afternoon, in around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, you can catch a rebroadcast of this very program on herbfm.com. All right, let's get to our racing report real quick. And that's going to lead us into, I know I'm going to have Uncle Mark jump in here and talk a little bit about, real quick, about the new program that we're going to be rolling out here on Sunday. But we had our final race of the season Saturday night at Richmond. Brad Keselowski came out of that in the end, winning that particular race. Correct me, I don't have my numbers right up in front of me, folks, but so if I say something wrong, just jump in and correct me. But becoming the, I believe, he's the only four-time winner from this season. This was our final race. Brad Keselowski won it. Jeff Gordon came in second. Clint Boyer third. Jamie McMurray fourth. Kevin Harvick came in fifth. We will notice there, no Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart had been given kind of a reprieve that if he had in fact won either of the last two races in that season, he would have been eligible for the chase. But no chase dreams for Tony Stewart this week, or this year anyhow, as a result of last week's results. Again, I don't have numbers up directly in front of me. I'm going to jump over and pull them up right now. Sidekicker Mark, jump in, talk to me. We got the chase starting up. We got some new rules here. So who wants to fill us in on how these new rules are going to work? We're going to Chicagoland Speedway on Sunday. So we've got 16 drivers in there, and how's this all going to shake down?
I'll defer to Sidekick. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah,
right, well, come on. You're gonna give us the pick. So
yep.
I mean, it makes sense.
Well, we got 16 drivers. Okay, they're gonna basically 16 guys are gonna race at Chicagoland, New Hampshire, and Dover. A win at any of these tracks basically gets you an automatic bye into the next round. And after Dover, we're going to we're going to kick 4 people out, and we're going to drop to a field of 12. At that point, each advancing driver's points will be reset to 3,000 points. That is the challenger round. The contender round will be Kansas Speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and Talladega, with the same rules. If one of the chase drivers wins, basically an automatic advancement to the next round. At the end, after Talladega, we will kick out 4 more drivers, so that we're left with a field of 8, and their points will be reset to 4,000 points. We will then have the Eliminator round, where we will be going to Martinsville, Texas Motor Speedway, and Phoenix, with the same rules applying. After Phoenix, we will kick out half the field, leaving us with 4 drivers, whose points will be reset to 5,000. And then we'll have the championship. The highest finisher among the 4 finalists at Homestead will be the new champion. So,
playoffs. We're going to do playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is a little bit different because we've kind of basically got a knockout sort of situation is basically what it's coming down to.
Sure.
I'm going to... Let me throw it to Sidekick real quick. I don't know how I want to phrase this. Do we want to look at it from who do you think might be the first, what are we talking, 3 that'll be knocked out or 4?
4 will be knocked out.
4 will be knocked out in the first round.
Yep.
Who do you think might be, I won't ask you for who you think might win the whole thing. How about we go it this way? Who do you think might be the first 4 to be knocked out?
I think Eric Amarola. Ryan Newman. Let's see. Ah, man. Trying to pick. I guess probably Biffle and maybe Kane.
All right. I'll reserve that question, Uncle Mark, because you might want to discuss that on your program. Tell us a little bit about the program we got coming up on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have a good time. I'm going to be joined by Technical Director Brandon Sunday morning. It's going to be Frat House Sports Network right here, right now, at Blog Talk Radio. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the new playoff format, as we've just heard eloquently by Sidekick. It's been introduced by NASCAR, round-by-round eliminations, as you've guessed, as you've heard. We'll give you the complete list of the 16 current Chase for the Sprint Cup competitors that are kicking up with this Sunday's race at Chicagoland that occurs at 2 o'clock. In addition, we're going to throw out some other fun chat about, listen, what are the thoughts? Why doesn't NASCAR consider adding a road course to the NASCAR Chase schedule? A lot of road course drivers. To me, the 5-star race of the year, just speaking for myself, was definitely Watkins Glen and that finale by A.J. Allmendinger and Marcus Ambrose. I thought that was the most exciting race we had all year at a road course. We don't have that in the Chase. Why is that? Should we consider it? And also a couple changes next year to the 2015 schedule that should promote a positive impact for the fans, for some of the tracks, i.e. Darlington, and certainly reprieve from a weather standpoint.
There you go. This is exciting stuff for all of us here. I mean, we kind of alluded to it last week with the whole situation with the fact that we're going to be offering additional programs. But here we go. We're kind of kicking off on Sunday. With that one. I'll get into the whole schedule. Boy, oh boy, we're getting some noise here. What's going on? Sounds like somebody's got an open mic.
I'm good. I don't.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Somebody's got an open mic there.
We good? Everything good?
Yeah. Somebody's got a way open mic there. Wow.
Me.
All right. As I just pointed out, yeah, great stuff. We're going to have this NASCAR program, specifically NASCAR Autosports, because I'll even be jumping in there with you every once in a while, Uncle Mark, with a little bit of NHRA. So we're going to have that kicking up on on Sunday morning. What time will that be on?
We're shooting for 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
11 a.m. and we decided on
That'll
a name.
run for a 60-minute. That'll be a 60-minute program. Get you done and out by 12 o'clock. You have time to set your fantasy roster.
There you
if
go.
it's an early race at 1 or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, you'll have plenty of time prior to that. And yes, that is the question. I believe we're going to go with Race Trim, the Motorsports Show.
There you go.
Hour. Motorsports Hour.
Hour. There you go. Thank you, Brandon.
We're still working on it.
Sports Hour.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
I have
Some
no
awards.
idea.
We're still
I have
working
no
on the
idea.
awards. Yeah.
Yeah,
We got
right.
some
The
awards
words
to
are here. I do not have a cold beer. That could be trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right. You just mentioned fantasy teams. Sidekick, we're heading to Chicagoland. That's at 2 o'clock on Sunday Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Race, I believe, folks, on ESPN. Is that right?
ESPN, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, correct. Sidekick, we need your picks for this week.
No, you can't have them.
Okay. Uncle Mark?
No. We'll kill that, right? Now, we're going to Chicagoland this week for the first of our chase races. Get to see how this new format, playoff is going to work. So here's some drivers, or I'm sorry, not here's some drivers. Here are the drivers that I'm targeting this week for my roster. We're going to go with, because, it's go time now, so we got to get serious here. I'm going with Kevin Harvick. He's at 2750. Been dominant, pretty dominant this season. Brad Keselowski, last week's winner, also very dominant on these intermediate tracks. He's $27. Don't say retirement. Jeff Gordon, $27.75. And then we're going to throw in, our two fill our roster spots. David Reagan at $10.50, and my lucky dog Landon Castle at $7.25. That takes our roster to a $100 cap.
All right, there you go. There's our race report. Well, it's not our only race report, but there's our race report for this Thursday Frat House Sports Show. And that was brought to you by, again, our good friends over at Herb FM Sports Radio, herbfm.com. Make sure you're tuning in to them. 10:15 Saturday night for some live football from New Mexico. And I say not our only race report because, as Uncle Mark just pointed out, we have a new program starting up right here on the Frat House Sports Network, right here on Blog Talk Radio, coming this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So, set your calendar, get your calendar marked off. If you're a racing fan, you're going to want to give that a listen. It's perfect pre-race kind of chat and talk, and you can jump right in with that. You can jump right in with that and call in, as you've been able to do right here with this program. You can talk to our experts there on NASCAR. While I'm at it, promoting a few things, let me just jump around. FratHouseSports.net. Don't forget our website. Get over it. Check that out, FratHouseSports.net. Don't forget our Facebook page. We've had that going. That's been going longer than anything else we've ever done, is our Facebook page. Frat House Sports. Make sure you're leaving spaces between it. On Facebook, look us up. Look for our little purple icon. Find that page and give us a like. You'll get all of our updates and all kinds of daily posts we put up there, sports-related stuff going on as it is happening. So you got the Facebook page, you got the website, FratHouseSports.net. Our radio network, as we've got it scheduled for the moment right now. Saturday afternoon, I will be coming to you, myself, solo, with a rebroadcast of this program, and what you'll get also to hear is myself doing a little pontificating at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Frat House Saturday. Frat House Saturday right here on Blog Talk Radio. That will be at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And all the sports that are going on, all the highlights, all the scores that might be going on, a lot of college football stuff that'll be going on this coming Saturday. Sunday, as we just heard, what's the name of the program again, Uncle Mark?
Oh, we got to bring Brandon back in for that one.
I think it's Rate Trim Motorsports Hour.
There we go.
Is what we're looking at.
A Motorsports Hour.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk more than just NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Brandon. Making exactly the right point. I mean, there are other things that'll come up, including he's going to have some information that I can't wait to hear about, Supermoto. So we're going to do racing on two wheels. If we have Formula One, if we have Indy, if we have Stock Car, if we have NHRA, if it's a motorsport-related event, story, happening thing, we're bringing it.
There you go. And that's happening this Sunday at 11 a.m., and that'll be debuting this Sunday.
Absolutely right.
And hopefully by Saturday, I would think by Saturday, we'll be able to talk to you a little bit and bring to you the announcement about our exclusive football program that'll be coming to you on next Tuesday evening. All right?
Oh, you better believe it. Oh,
there
you better believe it.
Wow, we got through the first one, gentlemen, and we appreciate everybody out there that's been listening, that either listened live or might be hearing it there after the fact archived. Appreciate you being patient with us. And as I pointed out early at the top of the show, dealing with our warts as we get used to the new media that we are working in here. And as we move away for at least a couple of weeks from the comfort zone of our video productions that we've been doing for 3 years.
Now, we're going to return to those, right? Frat House Mike,
yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
we're not abandoning, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to come back. We're going to do those, once a month, maybe?
The next one scheduled will be scheduled for October 1st, and you will hear it here on this network on October 2nd, Thursday.
Awesome.
So, no, we will be doing a video version of our program here on October 1. So that's a couple of weeks away, and that gives us a couple of weeks to get a little more used to, as I said, this media here. If you've been listening out there and have heard us and have enjoyed it, I would ask you to, drop us a line or something, or do us a favor, get a couple of your friends to jump in and give us a listen again next week at this time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and give us a listen live then. All right? All right, there you go.
And we have a, sorry to interrupt, we have a chat room also, so if you don't want to call in, you can write comments in the chat or do whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, we got absolutely right. A lot of ways to get through to us. 347-826-9964. That's the number to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And don't hesitate to climb in and tell us. Listen, if you don't like what we're telling you, so tell us off.
Exactly. I always enjoy those more.
Yeah.
We got a football game to get to, so let's go get to that.
All right.
We got Baltimore and we got Pittsburgh, and it's ongoing right now, and we're going to it. In the meantime, you got one more thing you got to do for me. You know what it is. Does everybody know what it is?
I think I know.
How about we all do it together? Keep us real. Keep us live.
Keep us live.
Keep us going.
Keep us going.